E37A. E36.
Good morning. Welcome to the December 30th regular session of the Board of Supervisors meeting. Roll call, please. Mr. Jacobson.
Brandt?
Here.
Kurtenbach?
Here.
Leyland?
Here.
Schwartz?
Here.
Hall?
Here. Please join in the moment of silence to reflect on this morning's actions. Please stand if you're able to join for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Item 1, agenda receipt is proposed or as amended.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Item 2, public comments. This is the time in our meeting for anyone either in the room or online to bring an issue that is not on this morning's agenda. Seeing none, we'll move to item 3, claims and payments. This is a resolution that the Board of Supervisors approve expenditures, that the county auditor be authorized and directed to issue payments against the various settlements of such claims as allowed.
So moved.
Second.
This week,
Good morning, Board. Our total bill payment today is $209,705.19. And the 60/40 fund, we are paying $2,835.36. This might be a record low bill payment today, and it does include a retainage release to Peters Construction, 2 payments of about $86,000. Everything appears to be in order.
unless there's other questions, Mr. Jameson, roll call.
Brandt?
Yes.
Kurtenbach?
Yes.
Leyland?
Yes.
Schwartz?
Yes.
Hall?
Yes. Item 4, receive project updates from department heads and elected officials.
Good morning, Board. Kathy Nicholas, engineer. I wanted to give you a report on the road conditions. The paved roads are in actually pretty good condition. A lot of the snow has, of course, been blown off by the high winds we've had over the last few days. There are some spots where drifting has taken place. Our crews are out on both the paved road system and the motor graders are out today as well. We do have quite a few illnesses over the past few days, so we are putting together routes that are, piecing together routes that we can have full coverage. It's taking us a little bit longer probably than normal to get through everything, though, just due to several guys being off. And that's really about all I need to talk to you about this morning. Can I answer any questions about the roads?
Any major drifting problems, Kevin?
Not that we can't take care of the snow plows or the graders. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other department heads in the room or online? Moving on to minute approval for December 23rd, 2025.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Item 6, consent agenda. The item listed below will be acted upon with a single resolution without separate discussion unless someone from the board or public requests that a specific item be considered separately.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Kurtenbach?
Yes.
Leyland?
Yes.
Schwartz?
Yes.
Brandt?
Yes.
Hall?
Yes. Item 7A, resolution that the statement of completion for the 24-018 Blackhawk County Courthouse renovation project completed by Peters Construction of Waterloo, Iowa, with a total project cost of $1,695,188.98, be approved and direct the chair to sign for same as recommended by Roy Gibbon, Facilities Director.
So moved.
Second.
Do you have any? Rory's putting double duty here today, so.
Good morning, Board. Rory Giving, Facilities Director. I know this appears kind of late in the stage, but we're just trying to clean up our paperwork, get everything taken care of. So do you have any questions Ultimately, I think the project was a success. We did come in approximately $20,000 over budget, but when you're dealing with a $1.6 million project, you're just a little under little over 1% overage on that. So I feel pretty good about that. Obviously, we don't want to see any overages, but I think comparative to other projects of that size, that's pretty successful. Any questions on that? Thank you.
All right, thank you, Roy. Mr. Davis, roll call, please.
Leyland,
Yes.
Schwartz,
Yes.
Brant,
Yes.
Kurttenbach,
Yes.
Paul.
Yes. Motion 7B, that the personnel requisition submitted for a property maintenance assistant full-time replacement effective January 5th, 2026 be approved as recommended by Lori Gibbons, Facilities Director.
So moved.
Second.
Oh, here he is again.
Yeah. This is kind of depressing.
Yeah.
No, we really hate to see our property assistant go, TJ Norton. He is moving to be closer to family. He was a very good asset to our department, and he will be greatly missed. So we'll be searching for his replacement, and hopefully we can fill his shoes.
How long is he here?
Oh gosh, I want to say about 6 months, maybe just a little bit longer than that. Yeah, a little bit longer than that, probably closer to about a year. Yeah, and he did a lot of great things. I think if you recall my end of the year recap with the cemeteries, did a lot of work out there. Got the cemeteries back into shape. Just our properties in general, we had so many compliments, which we don't typically get a lot in facilities. It's usually things are broken, and we just got a lot of kudos. And again, hate to see him go, but we will work hard to try to find somebody just as good.
Is that already posted then?
There will be.
Okay.
Yep.
Coming up. All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
This is a motion, I believe we have a motion that's second made. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Item 7C, discussion and possible board action for the FY 26 community services budget. I believe Ms. Weidner has sent around some iterations for us to consider.
And there weren't a lot of real wide variances, so they were similar as far as the, some were off of a couple of $100 difference, others were even as close as $1 and $2, so I just thought it was, but it was good to have so many options. Did.
So, give me 1 second.
I was gonna ask if you had any to add to it, but I was
No,
hoping
no.
you were done. Okay.
The more additions. I think I'm done enough.
Well, I looked at and evaluated, I said all of them, just my own personal, and I guess, there were, some very close or similar, as far as what we were doing. Maybe the ones that were different is we started off obviously with the top 10, and it seemed like it was probably the board's a decision, even though we probably should make a motion if that was the case, but to expand it for more than 10. So I had moved out of that. If we need to go back to it and revisit it, I'm fine with that too. But so those options were out. I know then we added the over 300, the points of being 300 or more, and so that was the category we seemed to be going. But if we need a vote on that and where our criteria is, I guess I'm happy to do that if anyone would. There was some discussion also then. On one particular one, and it was One City United, I think because of the other funding that we're giving them, or we're planning to give them the $250,000 from the opioid funding. So there was discussion on that. And I think my feeling still is would be, my preference would be removing them from this list just because we are giving them, hoping to give them $250,000. And that would allow a little more for the requests made here. Just, I know it wasn't a large amount for them, so it wasn't like it's really significant, but I know Justin had questions or concerns, I guess, about removing them from the list. But in no way do I want to take away or detract from their mission. It wasn't to do anything like that. It was just that I think if we not known the timing of this, it had been different than the timing of the opioids, we probably would have addressed it sooner and made that choice. And I would have done the same for anybody else in the list that we'd be giving funding to, especially of those sizes. If it were other programs we could make work for them, just those happen to be two that fell into the ones we could help both ways. So that's really kind of where my preference would be probably is that last option 10, for the most part.
I was just gonna restate your motion there.
Well, I was trying to do
for
the all,
option
but I was
10.
just gonna say, yeah, so I would, yes.
I think
say
option
you
10
would.
is the only one, of the ones that we've got listed,
Mhm,
that doesn't have One City United,
mhm.
funded for the discussion that we had previously about the opioid dollars.
Those dollars are awarded, right? Once we prove that, that was,
Yeah, that intent
that was
to,
done.
yeah,
Yep.
award, it's just the going through the paperwork.
and I don't want someone to think that if we did, I don't want the appearance of there's double dipping, that they both got these kind of funds plus the opioid funds. I do believe that they did get significant amount of money from the opioid funds compared to this, so.
Yeah.
I agree, I just, with probably option 10 more than any of them, then that issue as well.
Do you all have that spreadsheet? Okay. Chris, do you have the spreadsheet?
Yes, I do.
Want to make sure everybody was looking at, was able to see the numbers, so we didn't have to read them all off. So we've got a motion for option 10. Do we have a second?
Sorry, who made the motion?
I did,
Linda,
he did
sorry.
good as a, I mean, I just kind of reviewed and then, yeah.
Sure.
I'm calling that a motion.
He called it a motion, so I will too.
I would ask to remove Operation Threshold from the list. At least for the time being, just because of, I guess at Taves I haven't talked with you, I don't think, or Chris behind the scenes, kind of give you guys a idea of what's going on, but the most politically correct way I can put this, I guess, is for fear of irresponsible use of funds, an investigation that's going on right now. So I wouldn't feel, with what I have uncovered so far, I wouldn't feel comfortable knowing that tax dollars are very likely going to people who don't qualify.
I serve on the Operation Threshold board, and I can say that they pass every audit with flying colors. So I would just caution making these types of statements in public. It sounds kind of libelous to me.
Well, I know that they have passed the audit is my concern, and we can talk about it after the meeting if you'd like, Chris, to give you a better idea. I guess the best way, I would just like to remove them for the time being.
Could we maybe approve what's listed
Yeah.
in this option 10 and with further discussion on that or whatever you'd want to do, but plan to allocate funds unless something turns out differently, I guess.
Well, let me ask you this, and then I guess more to Michelle, but make sure this, Justin. Michelle, when they are applying for these funds, they have to show us paperwork to justify the dollars as well, is that correct? So is there check and balances is what I'm concerned?
They're reimbursement.
They
dollars.
reimburse.
Yeah, it's
yeah.
reimbursement, so is there anything we can do where Justin's bringing up this concern to make sure that they're meeting that criteria? The funds are being used correctly?
I think yes and no. I mean, we will require reimbursement documentation, but I don't know if the specific issues that Supervisor Brand is concerned about are part of the requirements of that. So while we will definitely make sure they satisfy what they've applied for and do it that way, that may not be what he's looking to prevent.
So their request is crisis assistance addressing the categories of heating and other utilities, crisis prevention and assistance, poverty, and providing for basic necessities. We're proposing to use county funds to provide crisis utility assistance, including water, sanitation, and garbage, as well as furnace and AC repair and hot water replacement for low-income families. So in the event so their proof of payments on those, do they just sort of turn, I don't remember if they've been approved previously for funds or not, I just don't recall.
They have been approved previously and they received very small amounts from previous crisis funding. I suspect that may change now with the changes in COVID funding. So,
I'm just wondering if,
what I don't know,
Yeah.
as your staff, is how to document that phrase, low-income families. And we can certainly address that in the contract if you choose to award it. So any other requirements that you would want, I think heating assistance, repairs, I understand what that is. I think we would all agree when those bills come in, we know what that is. Just that phrase that you just read aloud about low-income families, that is not very definitive about who decides what low-income is.
but we have defined it on the community services side, correct?
Not
Like
sure.
through Colleen's department,
General
those,
assistant,
general assistant,
yeah,
yes.
that's a different program.
But we could
We
define
could
that.
apply that.
So
Yes, we
Justin, I think from my understanding to your concern, we could stipulate that our definition of low income is those meeting our general assistance guidelines.
Sure.
That would, from my understanding, it's just on the income verification and that side, correct?
Yes.
So that would help address, I think, that concern, that we're getting the 7,000 that we would,
Those dollars are going to the
that
people.
they would be going to those in need.
Yeah.
That could, I think, sort of alleviate, that there is a check and balance there. That we're stating, they would turn in reimbursements only, for those households meeting that threshold.
That was my question, I think
Yeah, would we have the ability, so hypothetically, hot tip, whistleblower comes forward and says, hey, so-and-so received services and items from this, and I know they don't qualify. I'd be totally good with it as long as we're like, okay, now we wanna see the application. If they're willing to, allow us to have access to that. And I know that's where it gets a little bit messy, but
Well, since you're granting the funds, I would always think you have the authority to request that. I don't know what operations thresholds, internal policies may be about sharing that. They may have to go, it may be as simple as this, they may have to go back to the person that they're wanting to fund and have them sign off on something that it's allowable to provide that type of information to the Board of Supervisors.
Could we insert that into the contract or on the front end?
Yeah, we can, yeah. Like I said, the contract could be a little more specific
Yes.
than
Yeah.
typically we maybe do.
Yeah.
yeah, I apologize, I don't mean to be adversarial
No, I
or
get it.
anything, it's just, there's very credible information that's been brought forward, and that's where this concern stemmed from. Mike, do you have anything to add? Do you have any thoughts?
The only thing I had heard was what you told me, I believe, a couple of weeks ago
Yeah.
on this topic. No, I don't have anything to add. I might have some advice to give privately.
I I would feel okay knowing that they're gonna meet the same criteria for our general assistance.
Yeah.
With what your concern is.
And if we had concerns, yeah, that ask for additional information to provide that.
They gotta show that part then.
Yeah.
Yes.
And that's with some of these, like I say, we can do that with any, as far as with contracts, if there sometimes get to be questions that don't seem clear to us, so it's not just that.
It's a little easier too, that these aren't going towards general operations of the organization, and these dollars are specifically going towards reimbursement for services for individuals with the guidelines that we've got through general assistance.
And typically, these were some of those expenses that this has only, I think, been a category they've added in recent years because there were no ways to help these individuals. And so that's kind of like a side, so yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and for the record, not saying that they don't do great work, they do very much needed work, and they benefit a lot of people I know. So I'm not saying that I don't believe in the mission of the organization or the leadership. I just feel like we have a responsibility when it comes to dealing with tax dollars, so.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's all I have on that.
All right, so we've got we've got option 10, a motion. We don't have a second yet.
Second.
So we've got a second. Richie. We've got some instruction for that contract for Operation Threshold as well. I don't think I need to go over each one of those awards. Tim, I don't need to itemize those awards we've got the list.
I have the list.
All right, let's do a roll call on the support of option 10 for general assistance funding.
Schwartz,
Yes.
Brandt,
Yes.
Kurtenbach,
Yes.
Leyland,
Yes.
Paul.
Yes. All
It's
right.
done.
Hey,
That's been hours of work.
Yeah. All right. Item 8, work session, information on the Washburn Drainage District.
Okay, good morning, board. I provided some handouts to you by email as well as I think I also gave you an actual handout in your box at your door. First, I need to say that I'm not an expert on this topic. I think collectively here in the county, we do have a good group of people that will figure this out. The auditor's office, we have Tim and Karen there. They will assist us from the auditor's point of view. Michelle, of course, the finance director will have some say in what we talk about, and then Mike Trinan might possibly have some comments, and then Ryan, the assistant engineer. So I'm not an expert, but if they wish to make any comments at all today, please feel free to do so. I thought we would just start out very briefly talking about what a drainage district is. There are over 3,000 drainage districts in the state of Iowa. Because there is such a large number, this does cause a large portion of the Iowa code to provide information, to provide guidance on what we all need to know about drainage districts throughout the state of Iowa. The first topic is, what is a drainage district and what is the purpose of a drainage district? And that is to provide a way to deal with surface water, for landowners to deal with surface water as it's impacting their property, seen as a public interest, a public benefit to deal with the surface water by establishing a drainage district. They can be established by at least 2 people petitioning the Board of Trustees of thereby creating a drainage district if that is deemed necessarily by the district trustees. The Board of Supervisors act as the trustees, unless it is designated that is not the case, that the drainage district wants to set up their own Board of Trustees. The drainage district is created to pay for costs to implement these, deal with the water. And that usually means some type of infrastructure. And properties in the drainage district, they are assessed based on the benefit they receive by being in the drainage district. So collectively it equals 100%, and then they are all given some type of benefit. Any comments or questions on that information?
Kathy, you have an idea how many drainage districts we have here in Blackhawk County?
So that's a very good question. We know we have at least one. We, at one time in the 20s, 30s, 40s, there were as many as, we think, a dozen. I'm sorry, we cannot be more factual on this information, and perhaps any of you want to weigh in, but we do find information that since the 70s, there were probably 3 or 4 that were active in the 70s, up until the 70s. Since that time, we can't find many billings other than from Washburn. Would you agree with that, Tim?
Yes, other than Washburn, the only ones that I've been able to find any kind of records on, there's 6 others that were established between 1916 and 1920. How many times there were assessments made for improvements in those districts, I have no idea. Unfortunately, the records, being over 100 years old, are not what I would like to be able to see to speak with any confidence about this.
Meaning we do, not that we have them and we just can't read them. We just, there aren't any that we can find.
We have really good records on the Washburn district, but it's been 50 years since there was an assessment, and there's a lot of work to be done to bring them up to date. I don't want to get off too much of a tangent here, but when a district's established, a study's done to determine how much benefit each property owner in that district is receiving. That's the basis that's used for every future assessment. Conditions may change, you may be getting more benefit now than you did 50 years ago when it was established, but you use that original basis. One of the issues in bringing that up to date is that those properties could be split and divided multiple times since that happened. So you need to go back through and try to allocate how much of that benefit goes to each of the parcels that were created to split. So there's a lot of work to be done even to bring Washburn up to date. Now, if you want to go back 120 years, 105 years to when these others were developed, we don't have really good initial data to start with. So those are going to be very difficult if there was a decision to do another assessment in those century-old districts. A lot of work to be done.
So turning our attention to Washburn, many of the homes in Washburn were constructed in the 1950s, the mid-50s, into the 60s. And then shortly thereafter, I assume there were flooding issues in the community of Washburn. So in 1969, the Washburn Drainage District was established. I'm sure there's a petition somewhere, but I myself have not seen the petition to establish the Washburn Drainage District. It's got to be in our file somewhere. And at that time, Wayne Clausen was appointed commissioner and engineer of this newly created district. So then it was decided that a study would be done, and in 1973, the study was completed. And it recommended that this channel, an open channel, be constructed along the west side of the community of Washburn and the south side of the community of Washburn. There was a contract put together. Robinson Engineering was hired to put the plans and specifications together. The contract was issued in 1979. Between April and November of that year, the infrastructure of this ditch and the piping were completed. And I think the final bill was paid in November of that year, and it was about $205,000. And then that was the assessment, as near as we can tell. That's what the original assessment was for this, the creation of the infrastructure of this drainage district. So who are the parcels that make up the Washburn Drainage District? It's basically, it's about 405 parcels. as near as we can tell. It's everything in Washburn proper, so that south of Washburn Road and west of Highway 218, that square, that is all those properties. But it also includes the east side of Highway 218, south of Washburn Road. Many of those properties that you see in red outlined by the parcels, except some of the parcels along Sappy Farms Road, and that's that subdivision you see to the east of 218. But it does include those parcels directly south of Washburn Road and east of 218. And then on the north side of Washburn Road, the east side of 218, it includes those parcels as well. And I don't show all of them on this map. So what are the physical improvements of the Washburn Drainage District? So it's primarily an open channel, but there's also over 400 feet of underground pipe that move water to the channel and then away from, out of the channel on the south side. I'll talk a bit about more of that on the next slide. But here's some photos of the different parts of the drainage district. You can see in that lower left photo, this was put in for a driveway entrance. So there's culvert to provide a driveway entrance to the fields on the other side of the Washburn proper. On the top left, that is very close to the church in Washburn, and that is where there's an underground piping system that moves that water from the open channel towards Highway 218. And then the lower right just shows a photo of the open channel in winter conditions or the off-season conditions. You can see there's a fair amount of tree limbs that have fallen into the channel at this point. And then the upper right photo shows that would be just south of Washburn Road on the west portion of the underground portion going out into the open channel. So this is a more detailed list of what the infrastructure is that comprises the Washburn Drainage District. There's 4,000 linear feet of the open channel, which I think most of you are familiar with that. That's what we think of when we think of the drainage in Washburn. But like I said, it also does include a fair amount of underground pipes that were installed to either because they were very close to homes or it was very close to this church that didn't want an open channel, I assume for safety reasons. And there are various sizes of pipes, 54-inch pipes, down to 24-inch pipes that comprise this system. So we have aprons and we have just regular pipe. There's a steel flap gate that you see in the upper left portion of the photo. A very large flap gate that is kind of the end of the system, and it's supposed to exit that and travel for about 200 or 300 feet and go towards Highway 218 and go underneath the bridge on Highway 218. There's also a control structure that you see in the middle photo there. That's closer to Highway 218, north of the community of Washburn. Now, when we get to the next slide, I'll talk about one of the handouts where you can see where some of these details are located. In 2024, we put together a cost replacement estimate for the finance director, and we estimated it would cost approximately $370,000 to replace everything in the Washburn Drainage District, as far as the infrastructure goes. And looking at this, the 11 by 17 handout, and I'm sorry, this was very faint, very difficult to put on a slide. So you can see the community of Washburn, and you can see the ditch on the west and the south sides. It's indicated on here which portions are underground and which portions are open channel on this handout. You can also see, if you can locate Washburn Road in the middle of the page, and you go to the edge of the left-hand side of the paper, you can see when the ditch was constructed, a berm was placed along Folk Road, and then a control structure shows up just south of Highway 218. That's that control structure we were talking about. So all of this is really what comprises the Washburn Drainage District, all this infrastructure. I wanted to talk just briefly about some of the historical maintenance of the facility. I don't really know what happened prior to my being here. I know in 2008 is when we had all the flooding. And in talking with the conservation director at the time, I was under the impression that the conservation department had done some of the maintenance of the open channel portion of the drainage district. I don't know what frequency that was or the circumstances of that work. When I came in 2008, we were asked to clean it out, the open channel portion of it I'm talking about now, as well as that portion from the exit over to Highway 218. That's a forested wetland area. We put together a contract with Schmidt's Contracting, and in 2009 and actually in 2010, because it was so wet for over a year, that it took a long time for Schmidt's to be able to get in there and cut down some trees. So I know that in the early years in 2008, 9, and 10, there was some work done in the drainage district. We were reimbursed, we paid Schmidt's. But since that time, since about 2010, 2011, there's been very minimal amount of work done. We may have mowed it once, but I can't tell you that for sure. Since that time, I typically receive 1 to 3 to 4 phone calls a year from residents who live in Washburn asking about who's going to pick up the downed limbs in the open channel portion of the drainage district. And that's really one of the reasons I wanted to bring this to your attention, because I feel like some maintenance, annual maintenance, would be of great benefit to the drainage district. And as far as we all know, there have not been any assessments in the drainage district since it was created. I wanted to refer back to that study in 2024 that we gave to the finance director. We were able to put together some annual maintenance costs of mowing and spraying herbicide. Our roadside vegetation manager gave us an estimate of $2,200 to $2,500 to mow the ditch probably several times annually. And then before that work should be done, or in conjunction with that work, there's also a lot of large trees along the perimeter of the open channel. I do hear from individuals who farm the adjacent land that those trees are now encroaching onto their property and they have to farm around them. That's what the one slide is showing you. How that property owner is now farming around these trees. Some of the trees are on our property and some of the trees are on their property. They have talked to me about working collectively to remove those trees. Our roadside biologist gave us an estimate of removing those trees at about $35,000.
What would that cost entail to remove them?
So our first step would probably be, we could go out there and we need to establish, the county needs to establish where the property line is of the perimeter of the ditch. We would then be able to estimate how many trees were on each side, figure out some costs that way. We would talk to some contractors to just come in and probably clear and rub those trees. If that's what is decided we would do, we could hire a contractor to remove the trees.
Had the farmers that you talked to, Kathy, that had the willingness to do, understanding that it's on private property, so if we did do something collectively, that they were
Willing to pay their
agreeable to
share,
that?
yes.
I've had 2 people reach out to me through the townships. That one lives in a different township, but farms one of those properties, probably the same one that Kathy's been hearing from. Each showed a willingness to be part of it as well, do something, so. The other thing is, a couple of the homeowners out there, talking about quality of life issues, they're wondering what, and how it would be funded, we don't know yet, it was just an idea of quality of life. There's not sidewalks in Washburn, but what if they had a walking path or a trail around the drainage ditch for a walking path for folks, instead of a sidewalk, something for exercise or whatever, taking their dogs for a walk type thing. That was another thing that came up, I didn't know if that would be something that would be tied into the drainage ditch as well, but, they're just a couple of things that have been. The last one person got ahold of me was concerned about the area not getting mowed and getting more critters and stuff in there, so.
Kathy, if we do the one-time tree removal cost, would then ongoing tree removal be covered by just the regular maintenance?
That would be
Okay.
the intent, yeah,
Okay.
that we would be able to keep the large trees or the large bushes down with the mowing.
As long as we had funding, once again.
Right. So just to summarize some of the what we put together in our recommendations last year, the replacement cost is about $370,000, and the system is 45 years now. The system could work perfectly fine for another 20 to 25 years. But the system, as far as we can tell, has never been inspected since it was installed. So all that underground piping, as near as we can tell, no one's ever looked inside of that. We have no idea if the large flap gate, the control structure on the north end. We can't find any evidence of operating manuals or what the settings on the control structure would be. We just don't have expertise in this area. So it's hard to know if this system is working the way it was designed to work. We would recommend that you look at doing some annual maintenance, as well as probably hiring an engineer to come in and inspect the system and see what the condition of it is in the interior, the inside of the pipes, and assist with, maybe they could put together an operations manual, just providing some oversight on how the system works, so that as people come and go and with their employment at Blackhawk County, we're not guessing how the system operates. And then, of course, finding a mechanism to pay for all of this is what we would recommend.
Is there any evidence to suggest that it's not working the way it's supposed to be right now?
No, I would say, no, we don't. Like I said, we're not really sure about the control structure at the north end, or how critical it is to the entire system is the other point. But obviously the open channel carries water. Many of the residents would probably attest to that the open channel portion functions. So it seems to be working. The pipes don't seem to be plugged up at the moment, but. So I just wanted to close with some possibilities for future. A way forward is to talk to the residents of Washburn, and then we can, the engineer's office, we can, when we get a little better weather, we can send our surveyor technician out there to find out where the property lines are. As near as we can tell, we may have to hire a surveyor. I'm not, I won't rule that out. Tim has talked to you about the benefit ratios of each parcel, trying to determine that.
Which will be important to most property owners.
Yeah.
I mean, to know what that is, what that impact to them.
So those are all my comments. If anyone else wants to provide any input or.
So these are some of the individual costs, but we didn't put anything collected together at this point yet. To even say, here's the total number or dollars that we need to do some years of maintenance,
Right, so we
inspections.
could come back to you with a proposal for 10 years of maintenance and based on some of the costs that our roadside biologist put together as a way to assess people. So you can build up a fund. You can work with everyone here to do that.
What are your thoughts? I mean, I like the idea of knowing, like, say, I guess what you'd be looking at as much as possible. Without knowing when we get into some of this, if some maintenance was required, like you said, if it's not been inspected before, what that could even be, if there was something inspected and found to be wrong, needed to be corrected. I understand those things, but to me, that's the place to start. For me, is just understanding the full total of costs and what it would result in asking the residents before you go out and start talking to them. You need to have those numbers. So that it's not just, here's a nice idea or a way we could do this, it's what would it result in for them as well as. Thoughts?
Question, for
Yeah.
Michelle. Knowing we've got different buckets of dollars, Michelle, do you know, is there any other dollars still sitting in this fund?
Less than $2,000.
Yeah.
Less than 2,000, okay,
I don't think it's enough to do any of the work.
okay.
Less than two.
Is there any idea when the last time we had any monies going into that?
Prior to 2006, which is as far back as the financial software goes, I don't know before that.
Okay,
As far as I've been able to determine, we only had the original assessment back in the 1970s. It was, there may have been a $50,000 federal grant involved, because there's a lot of paperwork related to that, but I couldn't find an actual document that it was ever awarded. But in terms of the assessments, the list that I have is about $160,000. There were plenty of property owners in the district that had zero because they weren't deemed to be getting any benefit from the ditch. There were others ranging anywhere from somebody paying $35 to $2,500, you know, depending on where they were located in the district and how much benefit their parcel got.
I had an aunt and uncle lived on Maple right in the back corner there, and I remember their sump pump never shutting off. Just until that ditch was put in, they finally started at least cycling a couple of times a day, but it wasn't like it was constantly running like it was previous. So I know the drainage ditch did it, what it was supposed to do when it got in there, because I heard it from my aunt and uncle when they lived there. But again, the concerns I've had people reaching out to me was, one, the weeds growing up, trees, the one farmer bringing the issue forward. Sounds like it's kind of been, I can say ignored, but not given any attention.
Well, I don't think it's been ignored. I think the result is that you have to go back to the residents and charge them for it. And I don't think there was always years
The
past,
concern.
not maybe recently. Maybe that's changed too, and maybe people are more willing to do that, but I think that was the reason for the funds being depleted and not replenished, was because of having to see what these costs are involved, and everybody, just like anything with taxes, it's kind of like a tax, but you know, you hate to see your taxes go up, but there is benefit for the services and the projects, you know, and the things you can do out there, and I think that's where the calls have come from, then the people wanting those trees removed and stuff.
Right.
And Kathy's told them then to contact the supervisors, some do, some don't. Over the years, they just, you know that's what the end result is. It's like, then we'll be talking to you about what this is gonna cost. So some, you know, just haven't pursued it much farther than that, but at least we have some, to me, some real solid costs and things to evaluate and share as well for us. I think knowing, like, you know, to set a baseline for here's the information of where we're at and what's needed, and that would have those things together, I guess, instead of just knowing it's gonna cost money. But
Is there I mean, you said that from the records you can find from the 70s, there were individual assessments based off of, is that still a mechanism that could be?
That is the mechanism that must be the way
Okay.
I read the code.
Okay, but that still exists, I know that.
There's the engineers developed what's called a schedule of benefits for every piece of property in the district that kind of ranked how much benefit you got from any improvement that was made.
Okay.
So then when there was a cost allocated, your assessment that you paid was based off of that schedule of benefits. So that schedule of benefits still exists,
Okay.
and if there's another assessment made, that's what's used to determine the cost.
So
That record needs to be brought up a little bit to date for
Yep.
property ownership and that sort of thing,
Sure.
but that's how it was done. I'm not familiar enough with the code. I mean, I'm assuming you could go back and hire an engineer to do a new schedule of benefits. That cost then would be paid by the property owners, right? That are in the district, so.
I'm assuming there's an appeal process with
Uh,
that as well, or?
there's some nice handwritten notes from Francis Messerly from the first hearing. There was, a lot of people not happy with where they wound up in that schedule of benefits.
Yep.
Couple of things I just wanted to mention too. There was a bill that passed, a new law that was adopted last year, Senate File 593. And that was designed to make sure that people that are in drainage districts, when you're buying property, that you're aware that you're in a drainage district and subject to an assessment. That law is requiring auditors and recorders to do a lot of work to bring our records up to date so that all the intent is when you get an abstract, when you're buying a piece of property, that will note in there that you're subject to a drainage assessment. So that's not an issue really for me anyway with Washburn, because we have records. I can determine who all the property owners are there. Some of those 100-year-old drainage districts, that could be a real problem. I don't have legal descriptions of those districts. They're just squiggly lines on a map. So that's not gonna be a lot of fun.
So would it be your job, I was gonna say, to kind of update that list of information for us as property might have changed, or?
Right, I think our office in the plat room, in terms of meeting that law, it doesn't require us to bring the actual schedule of benefits up to date, just who are the property owners.
Oh, okay.
But you are in a drainage district, not here's how much you might have to pay. If there's going to be a new assessment made in these drainage districts, you need to bring that schedule of benefits up to date and ownership to make sure that everybody's assessment is accurate. And
The Senate File 593, is that sort of triggered by an improvement in the system, or are we gonna have to go through all of those old drainage districts anyways? Is this gonna be a workload that's gonna have to be absorbed regardless of whether we tackle one?
Again, I was aware we had one drainage district, now I'm aware we may have 7 or potentially more.
Yeah.
There are, especially in north central Iowa, there are counties with over 100 drainage districts, and they're very active too. My counterparts or colleagues in those counties were not very happy with this Senate file, not because they disagreed with the intent of the law to let people know that they're in a drainage district. It's just the amount of work that was required on their behalf, and also the recorder's office, to make sure that these are, that it's done. And frankly, one of the issues was that just because the recorder has a list of properties that the auditor prepared that says here's all the properties in a drainage district, it doesn't require an abstractor to put that in an abstract. So it might not even accomplish what they intended, and the author of that bill is aware of that, and I think there's gonna be some changes in this session. Again, the overall idea was if you're buying a piece of property, you should know that you might have a drainage assessment in the future.
For sure.
And I think a lot of people would, I don't know, I think I personally agree with that. It's just how do you get to that point?
Is there a
without
date that
Currently by the end of June.
We're gonna wrap this meeting up so you
Get started.
Sorry, you have to take minutes.
The second one, real quick, the second one was, if public property is not exempt from drainage assessments, you don't pay property taxes on roads, but if there's a drainage assessment in Washburn, your roads that the county owns receive a benefit, and so the county would have a cost. The Iowa Department of Transportation would have to pay for its benefit for Highway 218. Those are listed in the schedule of benefits, so.
Another way of getting money out of the state.
a little bit.
Kathy,
You are
with,
wishful thinking.
what do we have for forestry capabilities?
We have a chipper and excavators. I just don't know if we have the time to do that. To
Is it
remove the
something
trees.
we could collaborate with Waterloo, explore working with them since they've got all the stuff to do it?
We could, if you direct us, yes, we can do that.
I just wonder if that, well, I don't know what would be cheaper, but assuming that the cost to remove a single tree would range between $1,000 and $4,000, depending on how many trees are out there.
Yeah, well, we could hire somebody like a PCI or a dirt moving contractor who is used to clearing and grubbing trees, and that's probably the best way to,
Oh,
the fastest way to do that. I mean, assuming we want to remove the trees, I mean, I know the farmers would like us to remove
right.
the trees that are encroaching onto their land.
My first concern is if they're removing trunks, that they're disturbing the drainage ditch structure underneath the ground.
Yeah, so, yeah, that would be a concern. We, of course, want to make sure that,
Those still should be, it's kind of somewhat their responsibility.
yeah, if that was damaged, they reseeded or repack it and reseed it and that type of thing, yeah.
Can, I don't know, I guess as far as action, can you come, do we need something? Can you put something together for us to take some action on and move forward with this? Thoughts, Kathy, or?
Because all of this would be done at just no cost other than your time and effort of everybody that's working on this to try to put something together. Because we know starting this is gonna cost money.
Right, we can help you determine a starting place for an assessment maybe by saying this would be the cost to remove the trees. And like you said, 10 years worth of maintenance or whatever you want us to
That's all
include
a
as
good
a,
number to start with, 10 years.
Hey, Kathy, what about, the kind of investigation or engineer's assessment of the system? I don't think you have an estimate on that yet. I think that would be pretty key, and having an operation manual created sounds pretty key as well, for this.
yes, it's not a very complex system, but it does seem like having someone thoroughly investigated after 45 years of being in place would be worth our time.
And baseline
So that would
for us
be-
at least.
I think that would be a recommendation, that we have someone that, inspect it.
So that'd be included in the cost though, the things you're putting together, that's.
Yeah, we can do that as well.
I'd hate that we're looking at it now and then we don't do nothing, and then whether it's 5 years now or 10 years from now, it fails and starts backing up into the city, and we had the opportunity to address it now.
Oh, I think, yeah, once you put all the work of
Yeah.
trying to get this to be corrected again, then you wanna
Let's
know where you started.
Find out where we're
In
at.
case there's a problem. And then the
Yeah,
cost.
it'll probably take us, probably a couple months to
Oh, yeah.
work on this, to at least get these estimates together.
Okay,
So, yeah, that pretty much, you had it kind of outlined in your letter, or it was the 2012 one,
The
the same
report.
thing that was aligned, that had those costs. 35,000 and 370 and inflation, all those others. And tree removal, yeah. Even timeline would help if you've got any idea, like what kind of an estimated timeline to make all that happen, but I know that's still early. Because no doubt we'd have to go to the people if we had every dollar that we knew accounted for to set up a fund to do this. We can't, or how we're gonna start working and doing some of those things without the funds. Michelle can't pull a rabbit out of a hat.
Right, and I don't know how other places have started, because you're gonna have to hire someone to calculate that benefit cost ratio, which then the people that you're going to assess based on that have to pay for, so
Yeah, they do.
I'm sure we can make advances, but I think ultimately are going to have to pay all of that, so you're gonna have to have some buy-in, if you will, from them before you even get very far down the road.
Oh, I agree, yeah, for sure.
So, oh, go ahead.
Well, just when the Washburn Drainage District was started, the property owners there were required to post a bond to cover the preliminary engineering costs. Ultimately, they got the bond back because the project moved forward and those costs were included in the assessment, but that was to start a district. I don't know that that would be something that would be necessary for a major improvement in the district.
So do you know, are there many districts, well, throughout the state, I guess, that have their own trustees? Or is it mainly, I would assume it's mainly boards that are taking on that headache, but.
Comes back to us again, one of those kind of things that comes to the board anyway for ultimate decision, but yeah.
From what I've read in researching stuff, because this has come up, it's a really rare that you have a private board of trustees.
Yeah.
It's always difficult to get people in.
It is, but I also recognize the value
Oh,
of
there
having
is.
the users of the system be the ones that are.
The voice of the process.
Yeah.
We used to have, I was gonna say, I don't remember, Michelle maybe knows that years ago, I know it was before your time, but you've seen some of those records, that we used to have trustees in the neighborhood. It got harder and harder
I think we got one volunteer.
to fill those positions. Oh, good, that's why that's why you came today, thank you. Yeah.
So do you feel like you've got what you need from
Yeah, I
the
have a
board to move
direction.
forward? And
Would you like to, do you wanna make any comments, Ryan? I was gonna say, as far as when you asked me a timeline of all this.
Oh, I didn't mean for when you could present it to us. I just meant with some of the things that we're doing, even what kind of a timeline is needed to do these things, steps. Not for you to provide a timeline of how fast you can respond. I realize you got.
Yes, we have a direction, and we work on getting some estimates together to do the work, and also to find a consultant, for lack of a better, an engineering consultant to help us with that inspection.
Mhm.
And I'll try and get something back to you in a few weeks about a timeline.
Yeah, well, if you can, if you can't get it yet, it was just like, we just need to proceed or start. I was just wondering if some of these things, like removing all the trees and doing the inspections and those type of things, what you're, just what lies ahead, I guess, in a timeline.
Yeah,
Where
and
we
I
start
haven't
first.
talked to the landowner on the south side in particular. He's the person I most recently spoke to. We would wanna talk to him about a timeline, that type of thing as well.
And he offered about even helping with mowing, but I was like,
Okay.
we want some agreement with him before we just tell him go ahead and mow too.
Very good.
Let's take care of the one we know we have.
And the clock ticking.
All right. Thank you, Catherine.
Thanks.
Thank you, Kathy.
Moving on, item 9, any reports or information from the board?
I was gonna mention that, conservation, has an opening that's gonna be coming, I think, Josh Bulk said he'd be through March. So we were gonna post that, I think that's gonna be on the agenda for next week, we do have a candidate that's applied and had them on file. And so I thought maybe if one of us or two of us would want to interview, I'd be happy to do one, but I was gonna say if someone would like to interview.
Enjoy it.
Okay. Just like it.
Maybe having another one there too, I know one's looking at moving.
Well, we need to, yeah, like I said, get some, and I want this still posted and thought it still needs to be posted, we get more. But there is one out there that's been sitting, so we can see.
We can probably,
Real quick, I'm sure this has been discussed, but I just wanted to make sure there was awareness that Jenny Murphy's term also expired over there.
Yeah, that's why this one here is kind of
Yeah.
like, needs to happen, yeah, so get one, thank you.
We got organizational meeting Friday.
Friday at 9.
9
Yes, that short agenda, but yeah,
Yep.
yeah, everybody can make it, or at least 3 of us.
Yeah.
Okay. Alright.
Well, just say it's what I'm hoping is my last
Oh, you're,
meeting as chair. Don't even think about it.
Well, you'll be there to start the
You'll
meeting.
I'll be there to start the meeting, but
Your full one,
I
okay,
would,
go
I would
ahead.
like to say thank you, for trusting me to, I don't know, sometimes steer the meetings, sometimes steer them
We got
offline.
5 different,
Um, It's been a fun process, it's been a really good year, I think, for the county at large, and, from strategic planning to all of that implementation and processing, some staff receiving some really cool recognitions from industry peers. It's been a lot of good work at the county, so thanks everybody for all of your efforts.
Strategic planning, you've got another meeting, one to go today at 2. Yeah, just a reminder.
Yeah,
Don't let you forget one.
yeah, I wasn't gonna forget. Alright,
Thank you.
entertain a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thanks, everybody.
Wouldn't be for that, yeah, great discussion.